you are tonight, I hope over the next few weeks, as we go through this series, this EXO series, this dating series, I hope that for y'all, I want to give y'all helpful tips for when you start that process, when you step into dating, that you will be prepared and you'll be ready to do that. Over the next few weeks, we want to kill the cooties with y'all. we want to kill the cooties with y'all. So a common question that I've heard from y'all, and I even asked myself when I was your age, is, what am I ready to date? When will I know when that time comes? When will I know that Nick Gentile is ready to date? Yes, sir. Now I'm ready now. So I had to ask that question: when am I really ready to date? And when I was 11 years old, the idea of dating started coming into my head. I had older siblings, and so whatever they did, I wanted to do. And so they started dating at a normal age, and so I wanted to date when I was 11 because they were older and they were dating. I wanted to do what they wanted to do. And there was a cute girl in my class. I will remember this to this day. Her name was Catherine Williams. And Catherine was just the it girl. She was the girl that everybody wanted to date, and I had the biggest crush on her. I just wanted to be Catherine Williams' boyfriend so bad. And so I even took it a step further. In my class, we had a speech competition where we had to stand in front of our class and give a 3-minute speech on something that we cared about. And so I wrote a speech, and I titled it Girls. And this speech was to teach my fellow classmates, my guys, of how to get a girl. But really, it was a love letter to Catherine Williams. And so I was in homeroom, and I gave this speech, and I didn't just give the speech, I delivered the speech. I brought my whole heart into it. Everybody in my class knew I was talking about Catherine. She knew I was talking about Catherine, and she wasn't even in my homeroom class. And so everyone knew that I was talking about Catherine. So I ended up winning my homeroom class. And when you win your homeroom class, I went to a school where it was kindergarten through 8th grade. And so once you won your class, you didn't just stop there. You went to the school competition. And so this speech about girls, I ended up saying in front of about 350 students, K through 8, and I'm 11 years old, and I'm professing my love to 350 students, and then about 150 parents that came and watched. So there's about 400 to 500 people in our auditorium, and I'm professing my love for this girl. And I'm putting it all on the line. I'm saying she's beautiful, and I'm saying what I love about her. There's so much that I wanted to share, and so much passion behind it. And so when I was done, I went behind stage, and I got my stuff in my backpack, and my mom was there, and she's like, Nick, you did an amazing job. I think I talked for like 30 seconds in front of everybody, but I felt like I killed it. I felt like I really brought it. And so I finally had the confidence to go and to approach Catherine Williams. And so I come around the corner, and I see Catherine Williams walking towards me. And in my head, I'm thinking, I have 5 seconds to answer the question, am I ready to date? And in those 5 seconds, she answered it for me, because when she walked up, she said, I don't like you. And my whole life was shattered. I was so heartbroken that she would deny me. And then all my buddies were hyping me up. And then I turned around and kind of did one of these things. I was going to have a mariachi band come in, rose petals, doves were going to be flying. And I kind of did one of these, and I started crying in the corner. But I had to answer. I didn't actually cry, but maybe I did. But I had to answer the question, am I ready to date? But Catherine Williams beat it to me. But when I actually thought about it, I had to answer what will make me ready to date? And that brings us to our first point tonight. To answer that question, write this down. Our answer to that question is point number 1, when our foundation must be Jesus. Our foundation must be Jesus. Tonight we're going to look at a man in the Bible named Samson. And if you don't know who Samson is, we'll be in Judges 14, starting in verse 1. But I want to tell you a little bit about who Samson is. And so Samson was a superhero of a man. He was a Nazarite. And so Samson, think about Mr. Incredibles, with like super strength, but like Thor's body. If you don't know who Thor is, he's a very chiseled man. He's jacked. He has long hair, flowy hair. And that's what Samson looked like. He was a strong guy, long hair, because his strength lied in his hair. That he got his strength from his hair. And so it's a Nazarite thing. If they shaved his head, then he would lose his strength. And we'll find that out later in the story. But Samson's parents laid out this foundation, a foundation of God, a foundation that was surrounding the faith. And Samson knew that he was strong, knew that he had all this strength in his body. And so he started not to rely on the foundation that his parents laid out for him, but he started relying on the foundation that he was going to lay out for himself. His foundation he created was of himself. It was his prideful nature. He didn't need anybody but himself. And because his foundation was not in the right place, he made one bad decision after another. So in Judges 14, starting in verse 1, it says this. Samson went down to Timnah, and he saw there a young Philistine woman. When he returned, he said to his father and mother, I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now get her for me as my wife. His father and mother replied, isn't there an acceptable woman among your relatives or among all our other people? Must you go to the uncircumcised Philistines to get a wife? But Samson said to his father, get her for me. She's the right one for me. His parents did not know that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines, for at that time they were ruling over Israel. So in these verses we see that Samson's parents are wanting their son to choose a woman of their culture, of their region. So think about for us, if our region, our culture is Wilson County, it would be like your parents saying, I don't want you to date somebody from Rutherford County or from Davidson County or from Sumner County. I want you to stay in Wilson County when you marry somebody. That's what they were saying. But Samson saw this girl and he had to have her. Samson based his entire marriage on attraction. He was living by sight, not by faith. He was living by sight, not by faith. Samson's foundation was himself, so he wanted the girl that caught his eye. He didn't care what his parents thought. He wanted her, and he made the decision. Because of that decision, he faced some consequences. And this leads us to our second point. Dating is more than attraction. So don't get me wrong, attraction is important. I can assume that your parents met and your parents started to date because they were attracted to each other. I can assume that. I can assume in my relationships that when I had that magical moment where I saw one of my girlfriends across the room, the first thing that led me to her was her beauty. So I can assume that your parents, and one day y'all will have the same idea of attraction is going to be the first step. But attraction, it can't be everything. We have to move past attraction. So when we start dating, I want you guys to, yes, attraction is important, but we got to move past attraction. And so as y'all walked in today, I think y'all got a piece of paper. Does everyone have one piece of paper? Raise it up. We got it all. Everyone. Who does not have a piece of paper? Oh my gosh. Sixth grade guys. Hannah, we got down here in the corner. Thanks, Nolan. Thanks, Hannah. But we're gonna be using this piece of paper right here. We're gonna be using this piece of paper here in a second. But a lot of y'all, it gives us the 3 points, but it also has these 5 bullet points on the bottom. And so I wanted to show y'all when I'm dating, when I'm going through the dating process, how I'm getting past attraction, what I'm looking for past attraction. But I know that we all want our significant other or the person we're going to date one day to be attractive. So if everyone has a piece of paper, we're going to do number one together, all right? Everyone write down the first bullet point. We can all put attractive, because I know that everyone in the room is going to put it. So we're all going to put attractive, all right? And so after you write down attractive, you can put down the pen, because I'm going to give y'all some time to think about your 4 qualities later. But right now, I want to share you my example, the top 5 things that I'm looking for in a future spouse and my future wife. So I want to give y'all an example, and then I'm going to give y'all time to write it down. So my number 2 is I want her to be pursuing a relationship with Jesus. I want her to be so in love with Jesus that everybody that comes in contact with her knows that she's in love with Jesus and knows that the Lord of her life is Jesus Christ. I want her life to be so evident of that there's no question ever. And that's what I'm looking for as my number 2. My third point is this. I want her to encourage me, but also challenge me. And what I mean by encourage me and challenge me. So for me, I'm my worst, biggest critic. Every time I'm up here, I'm probably more hard on myself than any of y'all would ever be hard on me. I'm very critical of myself. And so I hope in a wife, I'm praying for my future wife to be an encouragement to me. So she will say, hey, Nick, you really weren't as bad as you think you were, but let's keep our focus on Jesus. Let's keep our focus in the right place and not worry about what you do when you do things. And then on the flip side of that is I'm also a really prideful guy. I have a lot of pride and a lot of arrogance in my heart. And so I'm going to need her when I think that I'm killing it, when I'm killing it, I'm looking good, I feel great in this bomber jacket tonight, so it's a new jacket, I feel like I'm looking good. I'm going to need her to be like, hey, Nick, like, you're okay, but you're not like as great as you think you are. So I'm going to need her to do good. I'm going to need her to make me better. That's what I hope with my point number 3, is that she would make me better. And my 4th thing is I want her to laugh. If you hang out with me outside of this, I laugh more times than I'm talking. I'm always laughing. I'm always trying to cut up. I'm probably laughing too much to a point. When it's a serious moment, I'm not supposed to laugh, I end up laughing. So I always laugh, and I want her to laugh and to have a joyful time with others and to cut up and to have fun. I love to do that, and I hope that she will as well. And then my 5th point, and then we can move on from my list because it's kind of boring. So number 5, it's willing to answer God's calling. And what I mean by that is when she's praying and she feels God telling her to do something, that she would step in obedience to do that. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I don't want her to hesitate. I don't want her to say no, to walk away from a calling on her life. Like, I'm praying that for myself. I'm praying that for her. And I pray that she will be willing to answer God's calling and be obedient in that. So let me get this straight. My list for sure is a lot longer than 5 points, but I know that we're all kind of used to the new dating thing. So I wanted us to just get our feet wet tonight. So I know that we might not be dating yet, but I want y'all to start thinking about this. Is in the next couple minutes, ladies, I want you to be thinking about attributes that you want in your future husband. I know that's a big word. Guys, I get it. That's a huge word. And I know that you're in middle school, you're not really thinking about that, but I just want y'all to start praying and to start thinking about what are we looking for in our future husband. Guys, what are we looking for in our future wives? And I want us to write that list down tonight, and I want us to really think about that and be praying for that over the next couple years. So, guys, for right now, I want to give y'all some time to do this. So before I'm gonna let y'all loose. This is not your friends list. This is not your small group leaders list. This is your list. And I would love for you to not be talking to your friends about it, not be looking around, looking to your right, to your left. I want you to really focus on this part and really think, what do I want in my future spouse? What do I want in my future relationship? And that's what I want you to do tonight. So over the next few minutes, I want y'all to write those things down. So y'all ready, set, go. Y'all can write down the next 4. I hope that y'all took that seriously. I hope that y'all will keep that paper, whether y'all put it in your Bible or you put it on your nightstand, or I know some people hang things on their mirror in their bathroom. So wherever you're going to be able to put that in and to really see that over the next couple years, I really can't wait to see how that list develops and how that list grows. Because over time, like as we walk closer in our relationship with Christ, that list is going to start to look more and more like Jesus does. And so I can't wait to see how y'all grow over the next few years, but also how your list develops and how your list grows over the next couple years as well. So now that we have our list, let's move on to point number 3. And our third point tonight is don't settle. So we just told you about these standards to have, these elements, these points to be looking for in a future relationship. And so we want you to have these standards. We want you to have this list on your heart and to be close by. I have been in relationships before where I've gotten into them and maybe I lost sight of my standards. I lost sight of what I was looking for. And then I got into the relationship pretty far. And I realized, oh, wait, this girl doesn't match the standards that I'm looking for. She is, and the standards aren't lining up. And so we all talk about the exciting parts of dating, the fun dates and going to meet the family and all these exciting parts of dating. But a hard part of dating that no one really talks about is the part of breaking up. So breaking up is the reality of dating. You're going to have to break up. Like it's going to happen unless you're one of those lucky people that meet your husband or your wife at age 4. Like you're probably going to have a breakup at some point. I remember some times of when I got broken up with, or I broke up with somebody else, because I've been on both sides of the conversation. One time, it was my ninth grade year, and again, I started dating really early. So it was my ninth grade year, and I had a cast on my hand. And I knew that I was getting my cast off later that day. And so right when my mom called me to check me out, when I heard it over like the intercom, the speaker, I made sure to go up to my girlfriend at the time and break up with her because I knew I was getting in my mom's car. As soon as I broke up with her, I wouldn't say it's smart, guys. Don't do that. It was a bad call, guys. It was a bad call. But at this moment, I'm like, I don't want to deal with it because I hate when girls cry. It's probably the worst thing ever on this planet is when a girl cries in front of me because then I'm bawling. So when girls cry, then I cry, and then it's a mess. But this girl, you grabbed all my buddies' phones, and she called me on every single one of my friends' phone, and I didn't answer. I kept denying it. I was getting my cast taken off, so I did have a little bit of excuse, but I kept denying that phone call. So after school, when she got out of school and I was already home, she walked to my house, and it's not like I lived like right down the road. Like I lived like 7 or 8 miles away from my high school, and so it would be like walking from like here to like 40. Like it was like a long walk, like more than that. Like it was crazy. And I kind of lived in the back of my neighborhood too. So once you got into my neighborhood, it was like 2 miles. So it was a crazy walk. And right when she knocked on my door, my mom left. And so it was just me and this girl, and she was so sad. She would cry in one part of the house, then run across the house and cry in another part, and I'm chasing her, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 14 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing. And so at one point she said, I'm just going to walk home, and she lived like 30 minutes away. It was a mess. It was a mess. But guys, like you're going to I don't know if you'll face any craziness, breakups like that, because that was pretty wild, but like breakups are going to happen. Guys, even when a girl breaks up with you, she might start crying, because that's happened to me before as well, where she broke up with me and I'm supposed to be the one that's sad, but then she starts crying, and then that makes me in definitely a weird spot. Like I'm just in a weird spot. So breaking up is hard. Having to have that conversation isn't easy. And it's probably the worst thing ever. But sometimes breaking up is necessary because we want you to keep those standards and to not settle from your standards. But I can guarantee, I can bet, I would love to put $100 on it right now that not a single one of you tonight, and definitely not me with my 5, none of us put a flaw on our list. No one put a negative aspect on their list. No one's looking for something that's negative. No one wants that to be their top 5 thing. But guys, if you look at yourself and you look at me and I look at myself, everyone has negative flaws. Everyone has a flaw. So we want you're going to have to compromise something, but we just don't want you to compromise the 5 standards or the 10 standards or whatever you have. Compromise something else. So if the guy you really like is making 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, but he snores, like you can like deal with that. Snoring's okay, like or something else. Stephanie Gamble shaking her head no, snoring's out of the picture. But like snoring, like that's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like if he is checking off all the boxes, but he has a flaw, his negative attribute is he snores, then maybe we need to reevaluate what we're thinking about. We're asking you, when you compromise, to compromise the right things. So I hope that you keep this list close, and I hope that you look at it over time. Your list may change as you change. And so Proverbs 7 verses 1 encourages us this. It says, "My son, keep my words and store up my commandments within you. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words." So what these verses are saying, these verses are telling us, are encouraging us to keep the foundation Jesus. To keep the apple of our eye, to keep That's the pupil of your eye. The thing that when you look at something, your pupil is going to that thing. So keep your apple, your eye, your pupil focused on Jesus. And when we do that, when our focus is on Jesus, then when some guy or some girl comes into the picture and their standards aren't aligning with the person we're keeping focus with, then it's okay to say no to them. It's okay to not start a relationship with someone that does not meet your standards. So tonight I started the night with asking the question, when are you ready to start dating? And the answer to that is when you are secure in the foundation of Jesus. And that's a question you have to answer. You have to ask yourself that. That's a question that you have to ask with you and the Father. Your small group leader can't tell you that. Your sister, your brother, your parents can't tell you that. You have to know when your foundation is secure in Jesus. But also, don't be like Samson and just cut out his parents from the equation. Your parents know y'all so much better than any person on this planet. And they want to help, they want to encourage, they want to be a part of the conversation. So a good thing to do is ask them, hey guys, do you see things in my life that are secure in Jesus? You see things that where I say my focus is on Jesus and my foundation is rooted in Christ? Would you say that I'm there? And if the answer is no, then it's okay to walk away. It's okay to not start dating. But when you do start dating, make sure you have your list ready so you can get past just attraction. So you can take a step past attraction. And if they don't meet your standards, and it's more compromise than just like some little things, when you're compromising your standards, when you're compromising your list, then they're not worth it. It's okay to be single. It's okay to be the only single in the friend group. I'm doing it right now. I'm the only single guy. I'm in 3 weddings this year. All of my friends are getting married, and I'm still single with no prospects. It's okay to be single. I promise you guys, it's okay to be single. And so that's my prayer for you tonight, that we won't settle, that we set our foundation on Jesus Christ, and we do not settle from the standard. Let me pray for you.